With training camp just around the corner, this is the official Pittsburgh Steelers prediction for their 53-man roster for the upcoming season of 2023. So, I'm doing this based off of last season. For example, if the Steelers kept 4 inside linebackers, I'll keep 4 inside linebackers. If they kept 7 offensive linemen, I'm going to keep 7 offensive linemen. This is going to be based off how many people they kept at each position from last season. I'm also going to give you some background information on why I kept certain people. With that being said, let's get started. The quarterback position is where we're going to start off. This is the most easiest position to pick out of every single one. We're going to have Kenny Pickett, Mitchell Trubisky, and Mason Rudolph in the exact order. Kenny is number 1, Mitch is number 2, and Mason Rudolph is number 3. This is exactly who they kept last season, and they usually always keep 3 quarterbacks on the roster. They don't usually have one on the practice squad unless it's the 4th guy. They keep 3 on the main roster, and these 3 are the main people on the team. There's no need to explain why these are the 3. So now we're going to move over to the running back position. This one gets a little bit more complicated. Last season, they kept 3 running backs and 1 fullback. So this season, they're going to keep Najee Harris, Jalen Warren. Those are the number 1 and 2 running backs. And then the 3rd running back is going to be Alfonso Graham. I know this one might be a little bit of a shocker. It's between him and Anthony McFarland Jr., I believe. I personally want to see Anthony McFarland Jr. have a breakout year because he brings something different to the offense in terms of speed. But I truly believe Alfonso Graham is going to win the 3rd spot, just how Jalen Warren beat out Anthony McFarland Jr. for the 3rd spot last season. The 1 fullback position that we're going to keep is going to be Connor Hayward. Last season, he was listed as a tight end, but now with more tight ends on the roster and Derek Watt not at fullback and not on the team as of right now, there needs to be a person to fill that spot, and Connor Hayward is a guy. He's done it in college. He's played it multiple times as a Steeler sometimes, so I believe he could fill that position when needed. Now, we're going to move over to the wide receiver position. Last season, they kept 7 wide receivers on the team, but for this one, I'm just going to keep 6, because usually they always keep either 5 or 6. Last year was an anomaly where they kept 7 because they actually had guys who they needed to play and needed guys they had to keep on the team, or else someone else, another team, would have picked them up. So, my wide receivers is number 1, Deontay Johnson, number 2, George Pickens, number 3, Allen Robinson, number 4, Kelvin Austin, number 5, Miles Boykin, and number 6, the guy the Steelers signed this offseason from the XFL, Hakeem Butler. Those are my 6 that I believe will make the team. Yes, Gunnar Olszewski, he made the team last year as a returner, but now I believe with the Steelers having multiple guys who could play the returner role this season, there's no need for him to fill up a roster spot when he had no production as a wide receiver for the team. Kelvin Austin, if need be, can be a returner, both punt returner and kick returner. And I believe Hakeem Butler is going to make the team too because he's a bigger wide receiver and his production of the XFL was one of the best, and he's just going to show out. Miles Boykin as well. He's more of a run blocker and a special teams guy. The Steelers need more special teams guy after they got rid of a lot of those people from last season, like Benny Snell, Derek Watt. They need someone who's going to be a gunner, and that's what Miles Boykin position plays, and he's also good at run blocking in the pass game as well, and playing catching snaps when needed. Those are the 6 I believe they're going to make the roster for the Pittsburgh Steelers at wide receiver. Now, let's move over to tight end. For tight end, Pittsburgh Steelers, they keep obviously their number 1 tight end, Pat Freiermuth, their 2nd tight end, Zach Gentry, and their 3rd tight end is going to be Darnell Washington, who they drafted in this year's NFL draft in the 3rd round. Like I said, Connor Hayward, he was listed as a tight end last season for the Steelers and was their 3rd tight end on the team. But now, since no Derek Watts on the team, I moved into the fullback position, and now Darnell Washington is the Pittsburgh Steelers' 2nd or 3rd tight end this upcoming season. This position needs no explanation as well, but Zach Gentry, he's a good run blocker, and that's why he sticks on the team. He's one of the Pittsburgh Steelers' best run blockers at the tight end position, besides Darnell Washington, who was really good at that at college. So we're going to move over to offensive line now. And last season, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they kept 7 offensive linemen. But since last year, they kept 7 wide receivers. And this season, I only decided to keep 6. I have 1 open spot that I could use, and I'm going to use that on offensive linemen. So the offensive lineman I'm going to keep is left tackle Dan Moore Jr., at left guard Isaac Seumalo, at center Mason Cole, at right guard James Daniels, and at right tackle Chunks Okorafor. And the backups is Broderick Jones, Kevin Dotson, Nate Herbig. Those are the 8 guys I'm keeping. The only question is, will the Steelers cut Kendrick Green? I believe this is the official time that he's not going to be on the roster because there's no need for him to be. Kevin Dotson could play backup guard, Nate Herbig could play backup guard or center, and Broderick Jones could play backup left tackle or right tackle, or even a starter if Dan Moore Jr. gets beat out for a starting job. So there's no need to have Kendrick Green on the team, but these are the 8 guys I'm keeping instead of keeping 7 like they did last season. And the reason why I'm keeping 8 is because most of these guys could be a starter if given the chance, and were starters in their career last season. So moving on to the defensive side of the ball now. I'm going to stick with the trenches. I'm going to start with the defensive linemen. And they kept 7 defensive linemen last year. This includes defensive tackles, nose tackles, defensive ends. It does not include outside linebacker. So, with that being said, the 7 that I'm keeping is kind of obvious. Cameron Hayward, Larry Ogunjobi, Keanu Benton, DeMarvin Leal, Armon Watts, Braden Fiocco, and the last one that's in question of if he's going to make the team or not is Montravius Adams. So those are the 7 guys. Obviously, the main guys are Cameron Hayward, Larry Ogunjobi, and then kind of the backup positions is who they drafted in this year's draft in the second round. Keanu Benton, Armon Watts came over in free agency, and I believe he could be a good pickup for the Steelers. And Steelers need a nose tackle, a pure nose tackle. And Braden Fiocco, who's coming over from the Chargers, who helped their numbers so much whenever he's on the field. The run defense was so much better than when he was off the field for the numbers for the Chargers. So him coming over, playing a big role at nose tackle, could be huge for the Steelers. And that's why those are the 7 that make the roster. But Montravius Adams, that's the only one that's in question of if he's going to make the team or not. Now, might as well continue with the extension of the defensive line, the Pittsburgh Steelers outside linebackers. This one is obvious as well. They kept 4 guys last year, so I'm going to keep 4 guys. TJ Watt obviously makes the team. Alex Highsmith obviously makes the team. Marcus Golden, yes, he's going to make the team. He came over from free agency. He's going to have a big role for the Steelers as their 3rd outside linebacker. And then the Pittsburgh Steelers drafted Nick Herbig in the 4th round. He makes the team as well. So those 4 were obvious, and hopefully Nick Herbig, Marcus Golden, those 2 backups can help if someone gets injured like they did the past couple years. The outside linebacker depth the past couple years has been really bad, but those 2 guys, hopefully they're actually able to have some production on the field. See, this is where it gets tricky. Now we're going to move over to inside linebacker. Last season, the Pittsburgh Steelers kept 4 inside linebackers, but right now there's really 5 that could make the team, so I'm going to have to cut one of them. But the 4 that we're going to keep are Cole Holcomb, Elandon Roberts, who both came over from free agency, Mark Robinson, who's up and coming inside linebacker and a run stuffer, but the 4th one we're going to keep is either between Tanner Moose and Nick Kwiatkowski. But I'm going to keep Tanner Moose because he could play multiple roles for the Steelers defense. He's really versatile. He's played safety in his career. He could play inside linebacker, and he's really good on special teams. So I believe he has the upper hand on Kwiatkowski, and he makes the team instead of him. Now, these are the cornerbacks that are going to make the roster. And the 5 that we're going to keep is Patrick Peterson, Levi Wallace, Joey Porter Jr., Corey Trice Jr., and the last one is either between Chandon Sullivan or James Pierre. But I believe since they need a slot guy, and Chandon Sullivan has played slot for most of his career, many snaps, one of the most slot snaps last year, he is the upper hand on James Pierre, even though James Pierre has been on the team way longer. But Chandon Sullivan, he takes the 5th and final spot. If the Steelers keep 6 cornerbacks, I really want to see James Pierre make the team because I still believe he has some unlocked potential, But for now, he does not make the team, and those are the 5 that do make it. Patrick Peterson, Levi Wallace, Joey Porter Jr., Corey Trice Jr., those guys are essentially locks to make the team, so it's just between James Pierre and Shaden Sullivan, I believe, for the 5th and final spot. Let's see what they do in training camp to battle out for that final spot. This next position, the safety position, is also a tricky position, because last season they kept 5 safeties, but they could keep 4 and keep an extra cornerback, or do something along the lines of that. But since they kept 5 last season, I'll go with 5 this season. The main ones and the obvious ones is obviously Minkah Fitzpatrick, DeMonte Casey, and Keanu Neal. Those 3 safeties are locks, but the next 2 is really up in the air. I still believe they'll keep Miles Killebrew because he's really good on special teams, and he could play some safety like he did last season, so he's the 4th guy. But the 5th guy, it's between Trey Norwood and Elijah Riley. I believe Elijah Riley has the upper hand on Trey Norwood because Trey Norwood did get benched last season and he just hasn't been able to produce. But Elijah Riley, I still believe he won't make the team. I still believe Trey Norwood will make the team. So the last guy is Trey Norwood, who's going to make the team. And now, moving on to the final position, special teams. Special teams, we have a battle at long snapper going on, but I believe Christian Kuntz will still win out the job. And obviously, Chris Boswell, he's our kicker, one of the best in the league at that position, and he's paid so as well, so they won't cut him. Those are the 2 guys. But now punter, we also have a battle going on between Presley Harvin and Braden Mann. Me personally, I believe that Braden Mann is the more consistent and better punter altogether, but I still believe Presley Harvin will win out the job and keep his job as a starter. But it's really up in the air, and let's see what they do in training camp. So, this is the Pittsburgh Steelers 53-man roster. These are the 53 guys who I believe will make the team for this upcoming season, and these are the guys I believe will get cut as well. With that being said, that's the end of the video, but let me know down in the comments below. How do you feel about the 53 guys I kept on the roster? Is there a position that you would change? Is there multiple positions you would change? Are there people that you would keep at more positions? Let me know down in the comments below. And also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well. If you like Steelers content and analysis reports, like the video, turn on post notifications down below for the channel as well, so you get notified whenever I post the next Steelers video. I cover everything Pittsburgh Steelers news, rumors, and reports. This is the best spot to keep up to date with all Steelers news. I cover it all, and now we're in the middle of July, but training camp is just around the corner, only 8 days away on July 26th. So I just want to get these videos out there. For example, the 53-man roster, and then next, maybe even the schedule prediction. For example, whether the record's going to be, do I believe the Steelers will make the playoffs or not? That video will be dropping soon as well, and even some predictions for the upcoming season as well. But if you want to see a certain video be made on a player, on the team, on anything, just let me know down in the comments below as well, and I'll try to get to it. So with that being said, like, comment, and subscribe with notifications on. Click the bell down below, and I'll see you guys all later. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.